refused to talk about the crisis because I think there's enough of that.
Okay.
I'm focusing more on the problem is that people are sad and losing their jobs and unhappy. So let's put as much positivity, and I think that's attracted people to the business even more now than ever.
Hello and welcome to episode number 46 of the Rose Bros podcast, where the idea is to connect with other entrepreneurs, athletes, and cool people in general to help you learn a thing or two. All the while enjoying some smooth Rose Bros coffee. Hopefully this podcast episode finds you healthy, given everything that's been going on with COVID these days, and that you're staying safe. This episode we are joined by Geordan Spicer for part 2 of our ongoing conversation on the podcast. Geordan is the founder of Kid and Pod Chocolate, a Calgary-based bean-to-bar chocolate company whose mission is to inspire kindness in others while treating its own suppliers and customers fairly. Kid and Pod has won multiple awards at the International Chocolate Awards and is planning on further growing in 2021 through its own distribution, online sales, and other creative ways of building the brand. We talked about everything from how Kid and Pod has quadrupled from this time last year, dealing with COVID-19, building your own stability through entrepreneurship, seeing multiple points of view, and a lot more. Enjoy. Geordan, good morning.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's okay.
What's new?
So much. We were pre-chatting about this, but I just opened up a chocolate facility in the industrial park in Calgary. And so I've been kind of exploring that new added pressure, stress, and freedom of space and more time to make better chocolate. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. I'm stoked.
Well, I appreciate you doing the podcast again.
I'm very excited to be here. I'm a consumer, so I love listening to them. And, you know, you have such a interesting spectrum of people and guests on. So I'm really stoked for you, actually.
Thank you.
I feel very honored to be on here, especially after listening to Phil from Phil and Seb's episode. Right. And I really like Dahlia's episode because I know her. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and lots of other people where I'm like, whoa, good for him. It's really
appreciate
chatting.
it. Hopefully you managed to listen for over 5 minutes. It's not unbearable.
It's just my voice.
Yeah. But you were actually guest number 2 on the podcast.
Wow.
And,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought I was further down the list.
No, first one was Ben Thompson, the ski racer, and then you, and then we had a few lined up at the time, but yeah.
That's awesome.
So
how do you coax people into, what's your pitch?
Well, is
it selling itself now because of
some
past
some
people?
is.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a bit of momentum, and it helps some people market their product a little. Not Joe Rogan or anything, but
it could be. Whoa, let's not. That's not the mentality we're gonna have. No. I think it's great. I'm really digging it.
One day, yeah. No, it helps, and people like to chat and tell the story. And
yeah.
With regards to Kid and Pod, things are going pretty well, it sounds like.
Things are okay. I mean, I don't like to say the word COVID.
Yes.
Because I don't like giving it more space because it has so much already. Yep. But when this whole thing started, definitely was there's a huge push from me to hold on to my business because I could easily see it slipping. And I saw so many other people's businesses slipping. And the day that it was announced, I was at a friend's birthday party, actually.
The lockdown? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first, the beginning.
Way back in March.
Yeah, in March. There was 14 people there. And of those 14 people that day that we were all, during this birthday dinner, 8 people lost their jobs via email and text.
Really?
Yeah, it's the saddest. This was the red wedding of birthday parties. I just remember being oh my God, so sad for all the people around me mourning their loss and, watching their faces change and figure out what they're going to do for work, and then being so grateful that I had created my own. To create your own stability is such a gift.
Yep.
Yeah, and then, as restaurants started to close, I thought about, I was a pastry chef before. Pastry chefs and restaurants would be the first position in a restaurant to go. So I wouldn't have had a job the year previous. It was just was grateful that I took the leap when I did. It's been a real hard push to today here in November. That's the only way that I see through it, is to just work harder.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm good at, and that's what's going to keep me afloat.
Business has been all right. You're hanging in there. And
yeah.
I mean, it's scary, but...
It's scary, but also...
You're growing, I think. You were saying earlier...
Oh, yeah, we're growing for sure. I mean, the goal of the company has always been to bring some comfort and joy. That's what chocolate is, right? It's comfort food. And this happens, and people need chocolate.
Yes.
more than ever. A while back, I'd been at like a chocolate conference in Toronto, and there was a speaker, and she was talking about how in World War II, there were a few items that didn't waver. They, in fact, excelled, and that was alcohol, red lipstick, which I loved hearing that, because, you still need to feel good, and then chocolate. And
really,
I found that in this global crisis to be true. You see liquor's doing fine. Sephora's still afloat. All the chocolate companies I know at the beginning were really worried, but none of my peers have shut down.
Really?
So, yeah.
Compared to this time last year, are you busier, the same?
Quadrupled sales?
Quadruple.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. Been working real hard.
Recently, you upgraded your facility.
Yes. We were forced to because of the crisis.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did that involve? Bigger space or your own space? Did you buy it? Or?
Yeah. So we're leasing. When I say we, it's really just me. But I'm also I'm splitting it with a tea company, local tea company. It's 2 levels, warehouse bay.
Yep.
And we're sharing it. Both had to build in our own facilities. Like, it's a shared space, but they're separate. Separate entrances. It's more economic to split it like that. But I'm paying the same as I was paying before. Just the initial investment of roughing and plumbing.
Right.
And having to buy, I had all my own equipment for chocolate making, but to buy tables and sinks, like so many sinks are involved for AHS. And the initial idea was maybe the tea company and I were going to just install one set of plumbing and share tables and sinks. And then AHS came at us with, that's not allowed anymore because of the old pandemic.
Yes.
So double the budget. And when it was already a surprise to have to make our own facility. So yeah, that was really hard and really stressful, and I definitely didn't sleep, but grateful now to have the space. Yeah.
How much money are we talking? Tens of thousands?
No. I mean, that could be like for a larger chocolate company than mine, for sure. We did it as cheaply as possible, so it was 10 grand. But it was
That's not bad.
10 grand that I only had 3 weeks to come up with, and that money was supposed to go towards a bigger piece of equipment that I was under the impression that I really needed going into this peak chocolate season, holiday season, to get through. And then doing the math, because I was only able to run my equipment 4 days a week at a shared facility, I'm now running my equipment 24/7 every single day of the month. And I'm producing twice as much chocolate. So that made up for not buying that extra large piece of equipment.
Right. So that's good.
Yeah, it's good.
What are you doing differently? Why is Kin & Pod quadrupled? Chocolate's good business, or has there been a certain strategy you've been pursuing?
There's definitely a strategy.
Okay.
I think chocolate's a good business.
Without giving out your secrets, have you focused on a certain portion of the business, certain marketing strategy?
Yeah, for sure, marketing.
Okay.
I mean, the help that I have, she's younger, so she's, in the know with like TikTok and those things that are coming out, like Reels.
It's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
The Reels are real.
Yes.
Real important, actually. Yeah. And keeping up with the trends is actually sounds so stupid.
Yeah.
Gross. Vomit.
Yeah, I know.
But, it's really important. I think the marketing strategy going into the beginning of this crisis was, I'm going to write, in each order that came in, I was writing these handwritten letters, which sounds like it was a lot of work. It was probably like 2,000, 3,000 handwritten letters to people, but people were sending each other gifts. So I was writing letters, like love letters, from one person to another with chocolate And that really worked. I did a smile campaign on Instagram, which people really needed at the time. I am very strategic. Lots of it revolves around Instagram, but I'm very strategic about what I post. I refuse to talk about the crisis because I think there's enough of that.
Okay.
I'm focusing more on the problem is that people are sad and losing their jobs and unhappy. So let's put as much positivity, and I think that's attracted people to the business even more now than ever.
Interesting.
It works. Power of positive thinking.
Yeah, for sure. There's a Napoleon Hill, I think. A lot of digital marketing.
Yes. You inspired me actually with your newsletter.
Okay.
Which I love.
Well, that's not an original idea, but thank you.
But I would say that the way that you're doing it is different than I've seen than any other newsletter subscriptions I have.
Thank you.
Via email.
Really?
Yeah, it's for sure inspired me, and I've started writing them not as consistently as you do, but sporadically, and including things that inspire me.
Yep.
Because to be honest, the other week, I've been really tired, but you shared something that Seinfeld had said, and
it was good,
it really changed my entire mood that day, that week.
That's great.
And, the newsletter is so brilliant because it's not part of the, stream of Instagram, the social, the algorithms. It's not part of that. Yeah. I get to choose what newsletter I subscribe to. And that information is not perfectly being tailored to exactly all the things that I already know I like.
Right.
It's introducing me to new things, which I think is really lacking.
Interesting.
And so your newsletter, Parts and Labor, local clothing company in Calgary.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, I'm like their newsletter that they send out. And I think that this is the new, I think this is going to be, it's like fighting back. It's like punk rock version of consuming
mainstream
information. Yeah.
Right.
Which I think it's going to, actually think it's the next big thing.
So things like that have been important for your marketing, and
it's
also good for yourself too. I find it, like I was saying, get your thoughts down on paper. It's selfish in a way.
No. I think it's healthy, but I don't have the attention span to write most days.
Yeah.
But I like to read other people's, the newsletter, and it's good for my company because it allows me to share things around my brand, and I'm trying to make my brand like a world. So the things that inspire me, hopefully if you read the newsletter, you'll see where the correlation is between KinPod and my thoughts, or what I'm seeing and what I'm absorbing and liking. It's all positive stuff, so I think that's what people need now. I would love to welcome everyone into my bubble. It's all pink and fluffy in here.
Yeah. When we did the podcast in January of this year, between then and now, have you doubled then? Size of the company, or what?
Quadrupled.
Since January?
Yeah, since January.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
And these days, I thought you said year over year, but from January till now.
Yeah, since January till by the end of, or by January 1st of this upcoming year, we should have quadrupled.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Either way, yeah. Distribution-wise, are you seeing a lot online then, or is it still mostly grocery? Or?
Last year, I would say there was no online sales. This year, the online sales are probably I think they're around 33% of our sales, which is nuts. From 1 or 2% to 33. That's crazy. Actually, gifting. Gifting has been so huge this year. Chocolate is such a great gift. It's easy to like. You're placing a bet that somebody will like it, and it's a good bet. So gifting has really been a crucial part of that. And actually, I'm so glad you brought that up. I've noticed a lot of my peers in the Calgary business community or small business food community really are focused in on grocery stores. That is the goal. Get into Whole Foods, get into Sobeys and Safeway. That's the ticket. And I'm just noticing that for me personally, that's not it. That we could do that for sure, but then you're giving such a huge chunk to your distributor, and you're not meeting the business. There's something so magical about self-distribution for me from my small business to another small business. And I think I'm liking that route better. I mean, I see how lucrative grocery stores could be, but this is my creative outlet as well as my business, and I think people can tell that I put my soul into it.
Yep.
And I don't want that to stop.
Most of your grocery then would be kind of the smaller retail.
Yes.
That's where you're aiming towards then, rather than the
For sure.
Safeways and...
I mean, I would love to be in Safeway, for sure. We're not able to do that via production right now.
Even if you wanted to.
You couldn't. That's definitely been on the table in the past year. It's also hard because I want to give back to the farmers. Like, I want that to be where the money is going into. And then if you are working with a distributor for craft chocolate, it's really hard because your margins are already slimmer.
Yep.
And it wouldn't seem fair that, to me, a distribution company would be taking more than a farmer. That seems
it's tough.
bogus. So I'm going to publicly say I think it's a little bogus.
Are you working with a wholesaler then?
No.
No wholesaler.
I just distribute myself.
Just you?
Yeah, just me.
That's cool.
Yeah, we've got over 100. Yeah.
And no plans for a wholesaler, or is that just...
Not right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people would think if people saw who I'm actually wholesaling my product to, would be surprised about how powerful some of the small local businesses are.
Right.
And how much they actually do in sales.
Yes.
There's one small business in Calgary that I see some of my peers put together these orders for these big grocery stores, and this one small business is ordering like the same amount.
Yeah, for sure.
For just one. And I'm like, oh,
you'd be surprised.
why wouldn't I do that?
I know.
And people poo-poo it so much. Like, I get so many people are like, oh, well, that's going to end soon. Well,
right.
I don't think so.
What was the name of that online wholesaler you were using that was...
Fair.
Right. You said that was going really well.
That's also, I think, has made up 11% of our yearly sales.
Yeah, I remember saying that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Amazon, have you been...
No, there was going to for a while, and then we just couldn't produce enough for it. But there's other things, like we're also supposed to be on well.ca, which I really like as like more of a Canadian alternative to Amazon.
Yeah, right.
And then like naturally Northern, which is Yellowknife's version of Amazon. Trying to keep it super Canadian.
Yep.
Right now. What about you? Amazon? That's your bread and butter. Yeah.
Amazon's been good. I need to get on that fair one.
It's hard. It's a wait time, and there's so many popping up just like it. So you gotta get on all of them. They do these awesome sales match days. If you give 20% off, they'll match it up to 10%, which is...
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
I've been trying to really get the traffic to rosebros.ca. That's been my goal.
Yeah, because it's all...
You control it. Well, I mean, I would like the majority of the online sales to come through rosebros.ca instead of Amazon eventually. Yeah. That's hard, but that way you fully control it.
For sure. I mean, my fair sales, for the most part, come through my website because it's linked. So that cuts out their commission. So if they get to fare through my website, then I get the commission.
Yeah, see, that's way better.
I think as far as Calgary businesses go, I think there's definitely like a model that everyone seems to be using.
I've noticed that.
And it's frustrating when I was never even in the loop for any of this stuff, and I'm just noticing it now, and people are like, well, you should be doing this. I'm like, who says that?
Yep.
Because I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I know. That's cool.
It sometimes hurts my feelings. Lately, I've had it a lot coming at me, like, why aren't you doing it exactly the way everyone else is?
Right.
I'm like, well, because...
You don't know.
Wouldn't you like to find out why?
Yeah. Well, that's like me too. And I mean, I think no experience in coffee.
Well, I think you have a very unique path to it too. And everything you're doing it definitely different than other people are doing.
You have to, though.
Yes. Yeah.
You know? It seems like if you have any chance of success in coffee, chocolate, any of that, you have to find a different way because they're commodities.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. For coffee, Calgary's a tough spot for sure. For coffee, just because
there's a lot.
There is a lot. I mean, it's worse for beer. Can't get over, but like they all do well. I think. I don't know. I don't own a brewery, but from the outside, it seems like they all do well. So I guess There's space for everyone. There really is. There's
Well,
space for everyone.
If you do it right, execute well. Also, I think just doing something different. You know, that Far Beer guy, Johan, he chose to locate his brewery in Turner Valley instead of Calgary and kind of went the other way. And that was an example to me of how you can kind of differentiate yourself, and they're doing really well.
Yeah.
You know? And
yeah. I think that needs to be said more. Like, it's okay to be different.
Yes.
And also really hard to be different, especially when you have, I don't have a business degree, so thanks for chef's diploma.
Yeah.
It's hard when you have all these people who have these business degrees telling you that you should be doing things the way that they were taught. 'Cause sometimes it's tough for me to stand my ground and be like, actually, no, what I'm doing is working.
It's working.
I mean, but it's also okay to be doing what you're doing.
Well, there's a mix, right? Yeah.
I think what I would like to see small business or business owners stop doing is telling other people how to run their companies. That would be nice.
Yes.
You know, that's not, I think what they're trying to do is be supportive, but what's happening is conformity. Like,
Yeah,
and
for
then
sure.
it's hard to compete.
Have you changed anything as a result of the pandemic?
I'm trying to be more efficient in a lot of things, but mostly it's just my work hours. Like, I haven't taken a break since March.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I work every day, all day.
7 days a week.
Yeah. It's definitely hard, and I think I have been getting a lot of questions about why don't I try and automate it more. That's when your Seinfeld excerpt came in and really kind of was like, oh yeah, right, I am the one, I'm the puppet master.
Yep.
And I want to keep it that way. And I mean, some things automated would be fine, but at the end, it's a handcrafted product.
Do you ever worry about because eventually you probably do want to grow, what you're going to do when that time comes?
Yeah, I'm looking at that for the next, because if we did this year,
I
mean, I can't predict what this upcoming year is going to be like, but if it's anything like this past year.
What would you do if Safeway called tomorrow and told you they needed 100 cases of your chocolate?
I mean, there's been some stuff like that happening, and I'm just, sorry, come back again. Those things aren't going to go away. I mean, I think that's everyone's always, someone offers something, if you don't say yes, it won't happen again. That's not true.
Interesting.
If people want your product and you create the demand's still going to be there. It's not fast. It's not fast food. It's not going out of... I'm trying to create something that lasts, like a mentality of ethically sourced products that lasts and hopefully can adapt to new marketing strategies or different social things that come up, so that it's not just, let's build it up and sell it. This is my baby.
We talked about that in the first episode. Yeah. It seems like a lot of people go into a business to flip it.
Yeah, totally.
Which is not the right strategy.
Well, it is for some people, just not for me.
Right.
I'm so emotionally attached to my chocolate company. Also, I started a popsicle company.
I saw that.
That's
right.
So the popsicle company is actually what paid for the kitchen, which was crazy.
So what motivated the popsicle company?
I think I was inspired. Dick Taylor at Eureka, California, I want to say. They were doing these fudgesicles, and I was like, yeah, because you know what? Normal fudgesicles are shitty. Or they taste like trashy garbage. I just thought it was such a great idea, and I was looking at these popsicle carts on Pinterest, and I was like, oh yeah, like Dickie D carts. Those were awesome. Like, I remember those. Those were so awesome. I would love to have fudgesicles and other fun, creative popsicles for the summer, because chocolate can be so dead in the summer. You know, you can't ship. Lots of those big companies won't ship chocolate in the summer. Amazon won't. Won't. So you gotta figure something out, or else you're just pouring money into production for the holiday season. But it's, you know, sometimes summer's short, but it can feel long when you're not making anything.
Absolutely.
Popsicles, they did great. We've got retail packaging, so I'm looking for this upcoming year to expand my business into, that's where I want big grocery stores for the popsicles, the Pippity Pops.
Yeah. Interesting.
The name, it's great.
How much of your sales do you think are coming through the holidays?
I don't actually know the number.
Christmas, Valentine's Day.
I break it up into like a chunk, so from October to December. That's like the bulk of the year's sales. And then like the second tier would be Valentine's Day to Easter.
Okay.
And then summer was Pippity Pops and Pippity. So, I've got it kind of sectioned into 3 and just focus on those 3 chunks and see them separately. Now I'm making money all year round, which is great.
When you come into the holiday season like Christmas, is it a big cash crunch? Or are you having to fork out a bunch of money for inventory?
Well, I had to fork out a bunch of money for the new facility in September. And then also in August, we had already put together the stuff for the advent calendars to load up on packaging, and beans has been just the hardest part because I didn't have a lot of extra money. Like I wasn't making good money last year.
Right.
It was my first year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's sometimes when you grow, it's tough.
I didn't get another investment or anything. I just bootstrapped. Yeah, the Pippity Pops. It paid. Like I was like, if I need more money, I will just sell more popsicles.
I don't know about your supply chain, but you have to pay your suppliers. Do you do credit terms or anything like that?
We do net 30, so that also fudges you over.
Yeah, well, I know.
Yeah.
It's tough. Do you pay your farmers right up, or do you buy cocoa right
So I buy through Uncommon Cacao and Delicacies
Oh,
Valley.
right. Yeah, you told me that.
So, yeah. They just actually released their transparency report. Uncommon did today. So
Okay.
I'm going to go take a look at that later and see what the situation is with the farmers.
But you have to pay them, is it net 30 or right up front? Or
Right up front.
So that's tough.
I pay for everything right up front, and everyone else pays me net 30.
That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
That's challenge.
It is. It's super challenging. I make it work every time. Lately, I've been finding myself getting a little shorter than I normally would with suppliers. Very like, I need this now. But we forgot to send it. That's too bad. You're going to have to express post it overnight to me because I paid for it and I want it right away.
Yes.
And I don't like myself when I'm like that. But, it's either that or we suffer.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Well, I was talking about this with Mitch Jacobson on our podcast last week, and growing with cash in, cash out, when you have to pay for your supplies and then you have to wait a month or two to get paid from your vendors.
Or
that's
when
tough.
you do net 30 and then they pay late.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
Yeah.
don't do that, please.
Kinnan Pod, it's 100% yours still, or did you?
It's 100% mine. I haven't taken
any
I took
equity?
some in like the tiniest baby initial investment 2 years ago. And haven't taken anything since. It's been really, there's a lot of close calls each month.
Yeah, for sure.
Do I order sugar or do I order beans?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which one? We need them both. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, that's kind of the beauty of it. I feel like it's exciting. I mean, there's never a dull day. And I kind of like it. It's the chase.
Do you measure volume and growth on bars sold?
The counting of the bars is so hard.
Okay.
I should. I'm not a good spreadsheet person. It's not my thing.
Have you, do you keep track of?
The bars?
Yeah.
No. I mean, like, I could go back and go through everything and put it into but I'm not.
Might be an opportunity for Kinnan-Bot. Tracking it.
Tracking bars, yeah, totally. No, I'm bad. I should. That would be cool to see the numbers. But then there's like other products too, like the chippies and advent calendars. So, it's hard. When you get more products, it's hard to keep track of what's actually the biggest. Obviously, it's bars, but.
Karen Anderson from Alberta Food Tours.
Yeah, shout out to Karen.
Yeah, the Alberta Cares box.
Yes.
So she's got one out now, and I believe they have a chocolate box coming out soon.
Yeah. Are we both? We're both in that.
I think we are.
Awesome.
The reason being is because we both kind of give back in a certain way, have a social cause.
Yeah, totally. That's the way to do it. I don't even know if there's any other way going forward into the future for chocolate companies.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I remember you saying on the first podcast, picking a cause and combining it with your business was a good strategy.
Problem solving.
Right.
Yeah. If you don't know what to do, find a global issue and see how you can fix it with business.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, duh. Were we not thinking about this beforehand?
For sure.
Doesn't seem like we were.
Yeah.
As like a society. And it can be 50-50. I think people see business as capitalism, people greedy, but business can do good. It's I listened to a podcast episode about it called Upstream Thinking.
Yep.
I want to think upstream. Fix the problem before it comes downstream.
Interesting.
And I think that's what I'm trying to accomplish with chocolate here. We're rounding on the holidays now, or Christmas, and I celebrate Christmas, but lots of other holidays, we're coming up on them, and it's the giving time where charities get the bulk of their donations. So we're doing a little bit of that for this Black Friday controversial topic.
Yeah, for sure.
Giving 10% back to High Bank Society, which is helping single moms out. Normally I don't do stuff like that but those people, that's how charities, they rely on donations. I don't know if there's a lot of upstream thinking, one solution for single mom, there's so many different things to think about and how you can help out in different ways, or how your business can help out in different ways. And it's great if it can help out in more than one.
Do you think business and capitalism can be a force for good, or is the ultimate goal to make profits and that's it?
That's a hard one. I mean, I look at Jeff Bezos and I'm like, what if he started out doing good instead of getting all his money and then trying to backtrack?
It's tricky.
Personally don't like it. It's definitely that's the mentality that when I was starting my business, some of my mentors, familial mentors, were like, no, you don't give back now. You wait until you have. You can't give when you don't have. I'm like, well, or you could just make it the business model that you get some enough for you and they get enough for them. Fairness. So I think that's an old way of thinking. I think the new way of thinking is that businesses could do a lot of good, for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing so much more of that. It's already happening, but more.
Well, it seems like it. Tentry.
Yeah, I feel like they were really one of the first ones, right?
Tom Shoes. I think Tom's is maybe one of the first that did it.
Yeah.
Tentry was shortly after.
Right. I like the guy from Tom's.
Blake Makowski, I think his name is.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's wrong, but
No,
it's cool.
He seemed interesting, yeah.
Yeah. We did the tree thing, kind of the same model, and I honestly didn't know Tentry existed when they...
Really?
No idea.
I totally thought that was your inspiration.
No. I was working in the energy industry at the time, and I don't know, I'd never come across Tentry, and everyone, kind of jokes we copied Tentry, but hoping to have them on the podcast soon with
but
Derek.
Even if you did copy,
yeah,
okay.
For sure.
It's fine. Like, that's the thing, people get so peeved when their idea's been sold, but if it's an idea that helps the world or other people, steal it. Steal my idea.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, some people think that it's impossible to kind of run that model where you get back along the way. You need to keep all the earnings to grow.
That's silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not for that.
It seems like you can do both.
You can definitely do both. I mean, I'm stoked when I pay my rent. And I'm stoked that other people can pay their rent because of me too.
Yeah.
What a great feeling when I think of Jeff Bezos, which a lot of people I do think of him often right now.
Right.
It's like, what's he getting out of it at this point?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I don't think he ever thought Amazon would get to be where it is.
Totally.
I think even he would have predicted a very low chance of success.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting on $130 billion now,
jeez,
that's so much money.
That's nuts. Wow.
It would grow quicker than you could give it away.
We'll have the whole world looking at you.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
Scrooge.
Yeah. But I know they have a green fund and all that. And so I don't know. It's debatable, but
it's totally debatable. Yeah.
Cannon Pod, the kind of the social mission is to get back to the farmers or pay a reasonable price.
Pay a reasonable price.
Right.
Upstream thinking. We're just paying them what they should be getting. And it's simple. It's totally easy. That might mean that I'm never going to be Jeff Bezos, but I'm cool with that. I got food, rent's paid, got a car.
Yeah.
Grateful.
Have you seen other chocolate companies out there that kind of cut the corners or are not paying full price to their suppliers? Without naming names?
Not that I'm fully aware of.
Okay.
I mean, obviously there's the big ones in the world. The ones you'll find that
Yep.
are under $2.
Yeah.
As far as Canadian chocolate companies go, it's just like a lot of good people
Okay.
trying their hardest to do
Yep.
something good, creating good products. I'm actually really proud of us as like a chocolate community in our country. So many good bars. So much.
Yeah.
I look up to them so much. Palette de Bean, Christine makes excellent, like magical chocolate. You know, Cantu, Siren, Monarch. These are just companies that are doing great things. And
Do you ever worry about the sustainability of cocoa farms and the deforestation that comes with that?
I am not very well versed in that part. I wish I was. I mean, at some point, that's the goal. I'm so busy right now. It's hard to take a step back and focus on a different aspect of the business. I mean, I feel like everything about chocolate worries me. Do you know more about that?
I think growing cocoa and coffee farms, if you do it right, is okay. It's become a commercial product,
Yeah.
and
It's overconsumed.
Yes,
For sure. That is worrisome. I think that overconsumption is the part that worries me the most. I mean, I think just being mindful about what you're consuming every day, and sugar is in everything.
Yes.
Chocolate, which is like, part of sugar, basically, is also in everything, and that has to come from somewhere. We have to grow that.
Yes.
It's a scary thought for sure.
Do you ever go down and visit the farmers?
I have never. I would have loved to. I know they do trips around my birthday in March. And so this upcoming year, obviously that's not going to happen.
No.
And this was the year where I was like, after Christmas, after holiday season, I'm going to set aside some money and I'm going to go and meet the farmers. And it's not going to happen.
Okay.
Maybe next year.
Where do you buy from? Which country? Or
So right now there's Colombia and Venezuela origins. The Venezuela is actually from a local Calgary, Delicacies Valley. They provide us with the Venezuelan beans.
Okay.
From their, I think, family farm. And then the Colombia is from through Uncommon Cacao.
Interesting.
Both interesting countries.
Yeah. Do you ever worry about supply chain with COVID?
Yes. There was a point where sugar and almonds I couldn't get either.
I think I remember you saying that.
Yeah. I was killing it. I was pushing so hard when it started. I was like, okay, sales are coming in, it's great, yada yada. It didn't even occur to me, because I had stocked up a lot actually. It didn't even occur to me that there was a whole nother problem that I should have been thinking about solving until I ran out of sugar. And I went to go order it, and my supplier was like, their website was like, nope, we're offline for the next few months.
When was that?
It's probably in April or May. Because in March I was good. I think April I was probably fine. I think May probably hit, and I was like, oh, I hadn't even checked. So that was scary, and then I found somewhere else. And
Where does your sugar come from?
all right, now I'm ordering it through Sunnyside.
Really?
Natural, yeah.
But which country would that sugar originate from?
I haven't checked it. I just stared ordering from them.
Okay.
Because
Pat and Patty.
yeah,
They're
actually,
great.
I can't say that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
also love love all the grocery stores, but it's my local one. Because you live in Sunnyside too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, supply chain it's huge, especially as you start to grow.
Yeah. The nuts thing too. I just started buying them from Blush Lane actually.
Interesting.
I was like, I gotta use my local resources. So that's what happened. It definitely, the shipping of the beans, that took a long time. It takes longer because of USPS or
Right.
UPS. And what was happening with the U.S. Postal Service at that time, that was also like, there was a lot of scary aspects just about getting all the supplies in.
In the spring.
Yeah.
Or just in general.
It was in the spring.
Yeah.
That was when the U.S. Postal Service situation was happening.
Okay.
And things were taking extra long. I mean, the other portion that really was hard was Easter hit, and it was my biggest Easter. I was not expecting Easter to be that big for me.
Okay.
But people were ordering everything, and I was their local person, and at the time, the other really big local chocolate company that exists didn't have a good website, which
Interesting.
they hadn't updated in like 10 years. And
So it's good for you.
It was good for me. It definitely helped me out a lot. And then Canada Post wasn't expecting so many online things.
Right.
And so they ended up losing 13 parcels in 1 week. If you just assume that each parcel has $100 in value, which is what the declared value is,
that adds up.
Losing $1,300 in 1 week, which for a small chocolate company is significant.
That adds up.
To resend all of those. And then, a portion of those will get lost.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, we've had stuff lost. The biggest problem Rose is having right now is just how slow everything is. So, for instance, we'll sell out of SKU like our dark roast online via Amazon.
Yeah.
Because you'll notice that it's getting low and you'll send a bunch out, but that shipment will be slow or delayed. So in the meantime, like you've noticed it's low, the shipment will get delayed, and in that time frame, you'll run out because you didn't factor in the delay.
Yeah.
So like last week, we had 10 bags left, for instance. We send out the shipment, we're low, but the shipment gets delayed. Now those 10 bags are sold and you have no more left.
Yeah.
I guess you just have to budget in delays.
Yeah. But that sucks.
It's tough.
It's definitely tough, especially when you're shipping, you generally pay for
up front.
Yeah. For me, it was Canada Post had also abandoned their customer service policy, and they'd shut down customer service. So there was no way. There was no way of getting those parcels back. I never got them back. I never was reimbursed for them. It was that was, I think, for me, that was the toughest part mentally, because I was like, come on, I'm trying my hardest. Don't do me like that.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a plan for Kin and Pod chocolate?
My goal was to have my own space, and I attained that goal.
That's cool.
And now I reevaluated my goals, and this sounds crazy because retail shops are closing, but I want a retail store. I want the same thing you're doing with the newsletter. I feel like I get sort of a glimpse in your brain almost. I'm like, oh yeah, this is like these are all the things that he likes. It's interesting. So to walk into a retail store when it's in that brand, in that creative view of whoever the creator is, I kind of want people to have that, and I want to do that. And I think that I see so many of my peers just focusing on more wholesale, bigger wholesale. And I love wholesale, but there's something magical about a nice chocolate store.
Interesting.
I never wanted that before, and now I'm like, and you do profit so much more when you're selling it yourself.
Yep. Nowadays, it might be a good opportunity to be looking. There's a ton of empty space.
I mean, totally. I think the thing there's, in my experience, because I have worked for a lot of chocolate companies, I would say there's some key things that you gotta factor in. Tourism. Tourism is huge. If you're gonna open a chocolate store, it's gotta be in a really high tourism spot. And I don't think that Calgary is that spot right now, unfortunately.
I would agree.
And you gotta find somewhere where there's tourism in the winter, so skiing.
Banff, Canmore.
And tourism in the summer, a lake.
Yep.
Basically.
Invermere.
Totally. Places like that is kind of what I'm looking at. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't know when it'll happen. I don't know any of those things, but I think the wholesale game is so dangerous because there's always people starting new companies, and it's very competitive.
Yep.
See companies like Rocca, the vegan chocolate company. Have you seen their
maybe.
bars are everywhere now? It's great, but like the magic of a chocolate company, and doing trade shows. I did my first trade show before COVID, so like February.
Yeah, I
January,
think
February.
Yeah.
Somewhere, I was in San Francisco, and
that's cool.
Yeah, it was an experience, and I realized I don't think it's for me. Like I don't, people do the trade show circuits, and burn out doing them because you're putting so much energy out, and everyone's in a suit, and I'm there in a bright pink sweater.
Yeah.
I don't speak about my product the way that I find other, I'm not, I don't like the hard sell. I just want to talk to people about how their day is. And if I could make it better with chocolate, and that's not the space for that. So I'm trying to navigate how I'm going to find space for my ideas.
Right.
My company.
Have you ever heard of C's Candies? Do you ever seen them?
Yes. Yes.
They're probably the model for a chocolate company.
Yeah, totally. Everywhere, right? They've been around for a long time.
Yeah. Warren Buffett bought them in the 70s.
Yeah. Okay.
Incredibly good business.
Okay.
That was before the days of like Amazon and Microsoft, but long story short, great company. And they've got a ton of retail spots.
Yeah.
So
you could do both. I think that's what's going to happen. And then with the Pipti Pops too, like that's another little side project. I just want to make sure that it's always creative.
Yeah.
I want to make it seem like people understand that this is my passion. Like that needs to somehow translate through a chocolate bar. What's chocolate like for you? I've never asked you, I don't think, about your chocolate ventures.
Well, I mean, for me, I love chocolate, kind of like you.
Yeah.
But also just another way to get back to reforestation.
Totally.
In a way, it's another commodity. Everyone knows it's a commodity, but it's just another way. That's the point.
Yeah.
You know, the more of a commodity you can sell, maybe the more you can give back to reforestation.
I mean, that's how it works. It's the age-old business.
But I mean, Rose Bros is just, like you were saying, a creative outlet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of the idea.
And
also,
I think I just think that I know that's going to go further for like you and I on a personal level. Like that, I see when people grow too big too fast and it looks terrifying. And then I see people like Soma who, like, everything they do
it's cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And
that's what you want to be.
They don't seem concerned, yet it looks from the outside like they are growing every single day. Every year they get bigger and bigger. And I get the business is about numbers.
Yeah.
And I also like earning money.
Well, you gotta. That's why you're doing this in a way.
In a way, but you gotta factor in that creativity also holds great weight.
Yes.
And creating space, like a nice space for people. Cafe. Would you ever open a cafe?
Not right now, to be honest. I mean, they're just kind of running away from it with COVID and HR stuff, hiring people.
Yeah.
Not what I'm interested in right now. Plus, it's a risk. Like, it's an unnecessary risk, it seems like.
For sure.
You know?
I've always, like, a question that I've been asking myself when I go and see, like, if I travel somewhere, I'll go to the chocolate shops that are there. And I'm always, does it need an espresso bar? Because it feels like everything has an espresso bar now, right? Like, you get your nails done, espresso bar. I was at Benjamin Moore like a few weeks ago. There's an espresso bar.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Maybe it makes sense. I don't know.
For sure. But like for chocolate, the stores have to be kept so cold to keep them. I've never seen people sit in a chocolate shop and like hang out. So I'm kind of I'm thinking about a lot of stuff. Baked goods, like just because if you have baked goods, you need coffee.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, if you do open up, maybe we'll supply you with coffee. Could have your espresso bar on the side.
Great.
From where we sit today, what's the plans for Kid and Pod the rest of the year? Just to manage growth and
I think what everyone. Well, actually, I don't know this, but
keep the boat afloat.
Yeah, survival. When there's a global crisis, survival. That's all you got to be focusing on is how am I going to get to tomorrow and am I putting good into the world? I see people who plan so far ahead for their business and then are unable to adapt when things like this happen. Personally, when this happened, I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Of course things are going to go south. I'm mentally prepared for things to always be going wrong.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's easy to roll with it. I also, a few months ago, I had no idea that I'd have 3 weeks to open my own facility.
Right.
In my mind, I was envisioning something that would take, months to build and prepare and be exactly how I wanted it. Instead, it's 3 weeks, everyone, let's go.
Yeah. Did you know that chocolate was kind of a resilient business when you went into it, or was it just your own passion?
I didn't know it was my own passion. It wasn't until that conference in Toronto that woman, I think we were just at a bar afterwards and she was talking about it and I was like, that tracks. Yeah. I'm stoked to hear it and I have retained that information ever since.
Right.
I mean, and if you really think about it, I think alcohol could also be synonymous with weed now.
Yeah.
And, lipstick with mascara or
staples.
Whatever. Yeah. Staples. We're always going to need sugar. And my heart goes out to I feel like yoga is a staple. It was for me for like a lot of exercise is a staple, and it's being treated not like one.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Well, that's my critique of it. Just seems like all the lockdowns and stuff have been a bit hypocritical, and certain businesses have gotten hit harder.
For sure.
I mean, rightfully so. You probably don't want to be in a yoga studio right now, but at the same time,
my heart, it hurts for them.
yeah.
Because I know if somebody told me that, yeah, actually, chocolate is the leading cause of whatever, and you can no longer make it.
Right.
That's devastating.
Yeah. What are you reading right now?
Okay, your newsletter.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Give us a good book recommendation, business-wise.
Okay, so I only listen to audiobooks. I don't read, old school, pick up a book. I get my monthly Audible credit.
Okay.
And I listen to one book. Yeah, I'm listening. We just started it yesterday. It's I forget the title. It's a murder mystery. But the last one we listened to was Stephen King's, the one about vampires.
Okay. Fiction.
Yeah.
Not
fiction.
business related.
No, I
Really?
don't listen. No, I can't right now. I used to listen to How I Built This and lots of business stuff, and I just can't anymore because I started finding it actually, like I was describing, it was the same.
Kind of narrative.
Yeah, unless, there's some guests that are just amazing, and you watch them, you can hear that they're so passionate, that must have been what was driving it, and that's what I want to hear. I want to hear, like, the Melissa and Doug who had this crazy idea that shouldn't have worked. I want to hear that.
Right. Yeah.
You're building wood toys. That's amazing. I don't want to hear about Brooklyn and Sheets.
Right.
That's just boring.
Or
to
even
me, that
like,
was boring.
yeah, even some of those tech ones, it's almost like it was too easy.
Yeah.
Dropbox.
I didn't listen to that.
That's a cool story, and I think he's a cool guy. But it was so. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a great story. I mean, the point of podcasting, I think, is you kind of have these great narratives.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm not reading a lot, but I am getting into the newsletters. Like I said, I think this is the next big thing because it's not being controlled by an algorithm. It is
direct,
and it's a snapshot into someone else's view. I also would love it if more companies were doing what you are doing with your newsletter, which is it's not just like, here's my coupon code. Tell me what you're doing this week. Like, I want to know. Maybe I will want to do that, or maybe that's something that will help me. But the current feed of my Instagram, my Pinterest, my Facebook is all feeding me more things that I already know. I'm here to learn. I'm here on Earth to learn new things, not just the same. So yeah, I really do. Newsletters. If any businesses are listening, please.
Yeah.
Create cool and interesting.
Or subscribe to yours.
Subscribe to mine and to Trevor's.
Yeah, the Rose Bros newsletter. Check it out.
It's
once
great.
a week. Podcasts? What are you listening to, or is it all kind of the same?
Well, I listen to Armchair Expert.
Okay.
On Mondays and Thursdays, and I listen to Stuff You Should Know. I listen to Stuff You Missed in History Class. I love that one. I really like Conan, so I listen to Conan's podcast.
Right, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
I started re-listening to Goop, Gwyneth Paltrow's podcast.
Okay, never.
Oh, really? I find it so interesting. I actually find it kind of similar. Like, it's kind of all over the map. Lots of different information. The last one I listened to was about breathing, how our faces have evolved, and we should be breathing through our nose more, which I do not. I'm a chronic mouth breather.
Interesting. Yeah.
Interesting stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just want lots of little niblets of information. What about you? What are you listening to?
Well, I mean, having your own podcast takes up a lot of your time.
Yeah, totally.
But I usually I got into Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss usually.
Right.
The Knowledge Project, Shane Parrish.
No, what's that?
It's good. Just a lot of high quality stuff you can learn. He's had a ton of Naval Ravikant, really cool tech guy.
Okay.
Not your stereotypical tech guy, really kind of, it seems well balanced.
Yeah.
A lot of philosophy. And so I heard him on the Rose Bros podcast.
I think that's huge, man.
Maybe.
I think you're doing it. Like, I am so impressed. I
appreciate it.
I hadn't listened to it. And then last week, Britt and I were like out of podcasts to listen to at work. And we're like, I guess I'll listen to Trevor's. And I was looking, I was like, well, this is a stacked list of guests.
Thank you.
Who's your favorite that you've interviewed?
Favorite? Well, besides Jordan Spicer.
Great answer.
I'm trying to think. Cam Proctor, probably. Prairie Sky Royalty guy.
Okay.
COO. He's just super smart.
Okay, I'll listen to it today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Dr. Anderson, the cardiologist.
Okay, I'll listen to that one too.
Really smart guy. You know, when someone's really smart, they just like make it easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know when you talk
like
to
an
them?
expert. Yeah.
Also, they're kind of like those guys are well-rounded. Cam's a big skier, and I mean, he works in energy, but he's also kind of into the environment.
A well-rounded person.
You know?
I'm into that.
Yeah.
I'm so over the divisiveness of today.
Yeah.
I want someone who has complex views about
Yes. Yeah.
everything. I want that sexy thing.
Things aren't so black and white, right?
Yeah, exactly. For sure. Also,
But-
like, you have a diverse... I've been seeing a lot of diversity on your podcast.
It's the idea.
I feel like it's impressive. Yeah.
You got to hear from everyone.
Yeah, totally. You've had some, like, I like the women that you've had on, too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my girlfriend asked me the other day, how many girls does Tim Ferriss have on his podcast? And I was trying to think to myself, and
You can't think of any.
not many.
Yeah.
And then so that's kind of the idea, right? Is to
I think, yeah. It's a good thing. And I
balance
feel
it
like
out.
nobody told you that you had to do that, which was kind of cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know.
Well, not
yeah.
that I know of. It seemed like even or if I was your second guest, that's
Yeah. Because there's no diversity inclusion metric here. You know, it's just
happened,
No.
which I think I feel like that's a snapshot into how great the future is when it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think we've covered a lot today.
cool.
Kinnan Pod, you're coming up in the Alberta Cares food box
Yes.
soon with Karen Anderson. Any other major announcements for the company?
In the new year, look for, hopefully you can find Pippity Pops in grocery stores. That's what we're looking for. We're also coming out with a box, so I think that's going to be
Your own box.
our own box.
Oh, cool.
Just like a same thing that you're doing, Kate.
Christmas box.
Yes, I can't even tell you how much you've inspired me with
Yeah,
this
well.
letter. But basically, I wanted to take that sort of concept of, oh, here's a box. I'm going to do whatever I want this month and put it in this box.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's going to be weird. Maybe I'll include other people's stuff in there too. See if people like it.
Box,
Box.
the Pippity Pops,
That's it.
and that's the major.
That's it. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot.
That's great.
Thanks.
Exciting times.
It is.
It could be a lot worse.
I know.
Well, we'll end her there.
Okay.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you like what you heard, check out rosebros.ca, where we will have upcoming shows. You can also find our coffee and chocolate there, where we plant one tree for every bag or bar sold through our partnership with One Tree Planted, a cool not-for-profit organization focused on global reforestation. Until next time, happy coffee drinking.